It's now my pleasure to introduce our student speaker, Emma Van Dyke. Emma is an English major in the creative writing track from Bainbridge Island, Washington. She is a member of the Sigma Tau Delta International English Honor Society, is a recipient of the Scott A. Anderson Memorial Scholarship, and her creative work was featured in the most recent issue of UI's Earthwords undergraduate literary review as editor choices for poetry. Emma has been lead gallery attendant at University of Iowa Museum of Art and studied abroad in Dublin, Ireland in summer of 2014 through the UI's Irish Writing Program. For her senior honors thesis, she created a graphic novel entitled The Nobodies. Today, Emma graduates from the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences with distinction and honors in English. Emma?
There once lived a man named Alexander Upshaw, and he refused to apologize for himself. He's not famous. Don't worry, you're not supposed to know who he is. He is a footnote at best. The only reason I know about him is because one day I picked up a book, flipped to the middle, and saw him staring at me, a man with fierce, sad eyes, wearing the headdress of a Crow Indian. He was born before the turn of the century in America, and he was half Crow and half white. He was well educated, spoke both languages, and tirelessly advocated for the rights of his Crow people. His friend, the photographer Edward Curtis, spoke of him in admiration, calling him perfectly educated and absolutely uncivilized. These words rang in my skull long after I heard them. Perfectly educated and absolutely uncivilized. I still carry them around in my chest. I have come to think that these words represent an ironclad way to survive in this world. To be perfectly educated is a tricky thing. Education is the opposite of stuffing yourself with other people's opinions. It is the opposite of the capacity to remember formulas or Foucault. To be perfectly educated translates into a breed of hunger, a ravenous need to know the intricacies of history and biology and quantum physics and the places they all intertwine. It translates into a stark realization that without taking advantage of the brilliance of other human beings all over the world, all of them hungry for knowledge and full of information that we can use, we don't stand a chance as a species. As Hawkeyes, we are well prepared to join a world increasingly defined by a global network of genius. The teachers at this school taught us how to think, not what to think. They taught us to step back and recognize the languages of hate, however high they spill from, and to be able to laugh at people who equate dignity with the wearing of a certain kind of hat or worth with the color of skin. We have had the extraordinary privilege of incubation in a university with little time for hatred or cruelty or fear. I will live my life grateful for this. But now it gets interesting. Absolutely uncivilized. What does this mean? Uncivilization means we discard notions of purity and absolutes and embrace a wildness. We must recognize ourselves as part of a species of brutal, loving, strong, and tenacious apes who infest an organic orb hurtling through the universe. Taking that into account, what a waste of time to hate. What a monumental robbery from this orb. As of today, we have officially gotten too old for hate. We're Hawkeyes, and we're better than that. We're useful and brave and reckless and just a little bit wild. And anyone who has attended even one party over their years at the school knows what I'm talking about. Alexander Upshaw, the educated Indian, was wild in this way. intelligent, and unwilling to bow and scrape for it. He was murdered for that. He got into an argument with a group of white men, and they surrounded him and beat him in the street like a dog. Upshaw was hauled off the street, bloody, and thrown in jail for his crime. He vomited blood until he died in that cell. I wish I could say that the world is different now. But there's one thing that Hawkeyes are not, and that is indifferent. That, I believe, is the true core of wildness, not brutality or recklessness, but the ability to let our hearts be broken by things which are heart-breaking, over and over again, never allowing our souls to scab over with distance or with lies. The only factor we can control in the brutal cycle of history is ourselves. So when a kid gets shot in Ferguson or Syria, we need to feel that bullet. We need to be able to feel that we can't breathe, we can't breathe, we can't breathe. We need to be wild enough, brave enough, and strong enough to be compassionate and to rise up like beasts when we see someone big raging down on someone small. This is a lot to ask. We're young things in an old world, and we're just stepping out into it for the first time. But will you step out with eyes open? Will you step out with me? We will encounter brutality. We will swarm it to the ground. We will encounter heartbreak. We will carry each other through. We are going to fix this world, and we're going to do it with mistakes and machines and meticulous arguments. We're going to do it with books and babies and big, beautiful plans. Let's make ourselves, all of us, into Alexander Upshaws, people who stand proud in the face of cruelty. Let's continue to forge ourselves into warriors, guardians, tricksters, and lovers, muddy, brave, and loud. Let's go into this world now, perfectly educated and absolutely uncivilized. Thank you.